All right, welcome to today's recap. This is Christian from Tribeca Trade Group. Today is Wednesday, and big day for the momentum stocks today. We'll start with the Qs chart. So a lot of things going on here. This is a chart that basically I've brought up every day. If you're a frequent listener of the end of day video that we talk about, we've just been saying that it's been kind of just a very choppy. Talking about not over analyzing things, but real no major buy signals or sell signals this week. Just a lot of chop below this trend line. I've made comparisons. I really try not to make any predictions and wait for the price. But I said, hey, it's will basically be one day. One of the one of the small predictions I guess I made is that it's basically going to take us one day to get out of this trend, and there you go. Yesterday was really telling when we had some, and it's just funny how this happens with yet when we have some bad news, the market opens lower, and and all of a sudden all the buyers come out and push the market up here. We got right back up to this downward trend line. Again, very similar to this price action here. Not exactly the same, but chop for about a month and then a breakout. So, it's not like I'm not going to raise the victory flag, but there was certainly just a ton of, if you've been holding some risk through this chop, specifically, and not so much in cash positions, there's no expiration on those, so those work particularly well. But if you've traded correctly here, what I've been advocating is make sure that your options positions do not have a short term time horizon, because you don't know how long this chop is going to last. If you have some positions out from October, January, November, whatever, what have you, you really benefited today by having those positions out a little bit longer and not losing too much time decay on just basically a choppy couple weeks. It hasn't really been that bad, other than just kind of being the challenging thing is always sitting on your hands when you don't have a buy signal. So things really worked out, pretty well. I mean, and I have a larger than normal cash balance that I've been holding, but I just got into Corvo yesterday. Started to kind of see the light with some things and say, hey, I think we're getting close to the light at the end of the tunnel. So Corvo, a huge day today. Again, I'll kind of talk about what we saw last week. This was a note. This was a chart that I sent out a couple times last week. It was also in our weekend newsletter. And it's funny how this works, but you never know when you see the move. But biotech sometimes leads us higher. It's true. It's happened a couple times now, and biotech was one of the first areas that saw an MACD crossover, a move back above the 50-day moving average, and these things have taken off the last couple of days. So we're right at resistance. If you've been sitting long like we have the last couple days, where I got long biotech, I think on Friday was it. Now is where you want to take some gains, take some of that money off the table, in my opinion, for some of these spots that we don't know if it's I don't know if it's going to take out the recent high. So I left a small piece on for my XBI trade, and we'll see if that runner works. But I think obviously, since where this thing crossed the 50-day moving average at $77 and move up to $81, huge move for the biotech. So I'm not going to go through every one of these biotechs, but Gilead, I think, was the main story. I've been long Gilead. I actually got long Gilead the night after their earnings. So I've been kind of sitting with this trade, in a little bit of pain. Didn't get stopped out of it. But, again, just having some patience and saying, there's really no break in trend here. Of course, I was sitting with a couple other biotech positions that, a lot of these bios had great earnings. Sarepta's been a name that I've been holding. I actually rolled that position out today. And Sarepta, I think Sarepta still looks good, but, just all over the place. Juno has been a huge name this week. Actually ended up down today, so kind of gave back some of those gains. Started higher and reversed, but still, talking about a $28 move to $40. But so that's been the one story this week is and all it took was basically one deal with Gilead, and for that deal to be blessed as a good deal, and this group has kind of just been kept down. So a little bit of positive news, and we see what happens with this name. Also, the Chinese internet names. I've been talking about this. I don't think I mentioned this in yesterday's video, but I mentioned it yesterday in the trading room, and I mentioned it on Twitter yesterday as well. Look at all the buying on the dip. Again, what these green lines here is buying. So in ETFs, you can see this. Obviously, in stocks, people try to use like different money flow studies where they try to think if like the buying is happening above the ask. This is evident. This is real buying. This is actually money going in. So inflows, create when dealers create shares, it's because they're facilitating a buy order. So all these greens are buying that's been happening. So look at all the buyers that came in. Just when these Chinese internet names kind of dipped a little bit from the highs, man, massive buyers, and you could see the volume. But so the inflows usually will take place 1 or 2 days after the volume. Dealers take usually a day or two to create once the order is through. Then they usually facilitate that creation order. So it does cost money every time they want to create. That's a whole nother story. But these are signals that we came upon today. Also when the Hang Seng is up a lot, this is very typical. When the Hang Seng is up 1.2%, when their market's closed by the time our market opens, you tend to kind of look. I tend to look at some of these names because they have a high chance of or a good chance of running when the Hang Seng's up that much. Big correlation between the Chinese internet, the ADRs, and the Hang Seng itself. So real nice. I mean, real nice move today by a lot of those names. Momo chart that I was long Momo, and I'm looking to get back in. So I lost. I got stopped out on the earnings move, and I'm looking to get back in actually here for Momo. So that's where a couple areas, and then it's the semiconductors. This was kind of set in motion, I think, helped by ADI that reported. Real nice earnings today by Analog Devices, and up and away they went. Some really nice performance in this group. So again, I mentioned Corvo already. We saw some calls. Sometimes this is how a really smart way to play option activity. Obviously smart because it ended up working, but but no, seriously. We saw calls go up on Monday, and it wasn't a trade that I really wanted to enter on Monday. However, yesterday and Tuesday, the name was down considerably from where they bought calls. So we bought this in the room yesterday on the dip, right in here, and look at this name go today, up 3.7%, but up about 5% from yesterday's lows from where I bought it. So really, really nice winner today. That was one of my best positions today. Going through the list of, we can look at several different names. What I'm also looking at, which was mentioned by a member today, but a name that's been on my watch list. Of course, these things, you could set an alert for these things, but you have to be quick because, look at the move Applied Materials, a name that had really good earnings, but in a bad tape. And look at it kind of break above this candle. So I like, despite the name, I'm not in it right now, up 3.3%. I gave it a hard look today, but I think this name has a chance now that it's reclaimed the 50 and out of this resistance zone from earnings. Really, really nice. But if you look at this whole group, ON Semiconductor, ADI, we mentioned that one. Also, AMD held the 200-day moving average again. Marvell, which I'm also long, up 3%. So some real nice performance. Teradyne, which saw a small call buyer today. Skyworks had a nice name today. It was also one of the conversations that we had in the trading room is if Apple's moving up, a lot of Apple moved up and a lot of the suppliers did not move up. So it kind of seemed like a buying opportunity. Hence, that was one of the reasons why I took Corvo yesterday with Apple being really strong. That actually nudged me to the right direction. ATVI, this is a name that I've been long. It's kind of been dormant the last couple days. But new 52, boom, just like that, new 52-week high, up 3.5% today. PayPal, we saw calls in this one today, new 52-week high. So all it takes is literally And again, going back to my original comment, it happens so quickly that you kind of have to be in trades and you have to be patient. You know, you got a new MACD crossover today in PayPal as they bought calls on the 52-week high today. Really nice aggressive buy today. So I'm already in PayPal today. Before today. So I looked at it and said, do I want to add to my position? I decided not to. I didn't really take any profits today in this trade. This order came in later in the day, light. I tried this for a day trade. It was pretty expensive, so I didn't want. I don't want to hold. You know, today was a great opportunity to kind of get out of some of your residual September positions. I don't really want to get back into September positions, even though there's still a couple weeks. But really great day to kind of decide. A, you could completely get out of your September positions, or B, roll them as well. So I did that with, like I said, with a couple names. I did that with Sarepta today. Other names that saw, right out of the gate, Match.com, Tinder announced today that they've got this new gold service. You can insert your own joke here, Twitter golds. I don't know what that would be for, but this is up 7.3% today. That was pretty well received. I think I have the story someplace. There we go. Rises to record of rolling out Tinder Gold. So there you go. Like you feature so that you can see who likes you before you actually swipe. All right. Again, several jokes coming to mind here, trying to be careful. CBS and Viacom. Looks like I left CBS off the list, but we've seen Viacom calls a couple times now. Do I not have CBS in here? I guess I don't have CBS in here. But we saw CBS calls right off the bat. I was in and out of the trading room today, so unfortunately I did not get to take some of the early signals. I also don't have the trade that I took today, which was Microsoft. Microsoft, there was some weekly calls that went up. Literally like, see if I can find them here. Here they are, right here. So some weekly calls. We haven't really seen much Microsoft activity at all recently. There's actually been more put activity in Microsoft. So I took this trade today. I got in for 73. What I did was I don't really like to mess around with the weekly stuff too much. But when I took this trade, and this was basically right on the break of the value area, right here. Bang. So I got into this September trade in Microsoft for 73 cents. Let's see if I can find the contracts. I still have them up someplace. Yeah, I got into the September 73 and a half calls for 73 cents, and I took my last target at $1.10 today. So really, really nice trade, and it just looked like we had some momentum today. That's what kind of compelled me to to chase after somebody who went into some weeklies. Gilead, I already talked about Gilead, but they did buy some calls. Teradyne, YPF, the list goes on and on. Fold again, also a name that I've been in for a while, but they continue to go after this little small biotech name. Love it. It's one of the best things that can take place is when you're already in a name or been in a name for a while, and all these call buyers start to come out, and everybody on Twitter starts to go nuts. There was some call buying late in the day in the airlines, which did okay today. Transports were up 80 basis points. Yandex calls. I feel like I'm leaving one out or two. I mentioned Light. There was a couple. There wasn't really that much interesting puts trades. Like I said, I was in and out of the trading room today, but just a great day all around for the momentum names. Some names didn't participate. You look at the Dow, which is why I very rarely look at the Dow, but the Dow is essentially flat for the day. Also, nice move in the small caps. A couple of these problem areas. Love to see the small caps get back above the 200-day moving average. Awesome. So that was one of the trouble areas, as well as transports. Mid caps also above the 200-day moving average. The DAX, just keep in mind, a lot of people are quoting the DAX below, that got below the 200-day moving average, including